Before World War II, technology and pure science were mostly separated. But during World War II, governments focused on developing new weapons with the help of university scientists and researchers. In 1940, British scientists developed a chain-home radar system that helped them defeat the German Air Force. By the end of World War II, Germany had developed the first jet fighters. British mathematician Alan Turing designed the first computer to help British intelligence in deciphering secret German codes. However, the most famous innovation of World War II was the development of the atomic bomb. However, after World War II ended, scientists began on developing nuclear reactors that could harness nuclear energy in a controlled fashion. In 1942, scientists under Enrico Fermi developed Chicago Pile 1, the world's first artificial nuclear reactor, and were soon able to conduct the first human-made, self-sustaining nuclear fission chain reaction. Soon, industrial-scale atomic power stations were built throughout the world. The nuclear arms race increased the risk of total destruction and led to the development of anti-ballistic missiles by both the US and the Soviet Union. Another important event was the space race, as it gave rise to many technological innovations. The space race between the US and the Soviet Union began in 1957, when the Soviets sent the first space satellite, Sputnik, into orbit around the Earth. In 1959, Soviet cosmonaut Yuri Gagarin became the first person to orbit the Earth. The US took a major leap forward by landing the first man on the moon in the Apollo 11 space mission in 1969. Back at home, developed in the 1930s, televisions kept growing in popularity, and American networks began to unload their programs in countries around the globe at extremely low prices in the 1960s. An increase in TVs also helped make sports a global phenomenon, and the introduction of the channel MTV also affected the music industry. Cheap personal music players also increased in quantity, making albums more accessible to wider audiences. Furthermore, by the 1960s, the automobile wasn't limited to just the upper classes, and there were almost 45 million cars in the world. The biggest innovation in the second half of the 20th century was most probably the computer. In 1959, Grace Hopper further developed the early computer by Turing, as she played a major role in inventing COBOL, a computer language that allowed computers to respond to words as well as numbers. Additionally, the development of the transistor, silicon chip, and microprocessor in the 1960s and 70s paved the way for the development of the personal computer by significantly reducing the size. Many of these technological innovations had several detrimental effects. Increased use of chemical fertilizers increased the crop yield at the expense of many different natural habitats. The emission of pollutants like nitrogen oxide and sulfur dioxide from burning fuels in automobiles and factories led to air pollution, leading to many respiratory illnesses and corroding the buildings. In 1986, a nuclear power disaster at Chernobyl was one of the most dangerous environmental hazards of nuclear technology. Despite this, technology continued to prosper, and in the mid-1990s, the invention of email and the internet transformed the way people communicated and shared information. As computers became more powerful, email started delivering pictures and videos in addition to text. The internet revolutionized commerce, entertainment, and the news industry. The introduction of social media like Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube all allowed for greater access to information and signaled the shift towards a more digital age. In addition to computers, there were also major advancements in telecommunication. The cell phone was invented in 1973 by Motorola, and in the 1990s, cell phones became more portable as their digital components got smaller. The invention of cell phones changed how people communicated, and the growth of text messaging also impacted our written language. In conclusion, after World War II and leading up to today, there have been many technological innovations that have revolutionized every aspect of our lives, including transportation, energy generation, communication, and commerce.